67% of women wear a size 14 or larger. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to dress your shape like a boss. Determine your shape first. Hey girl, thanks for coming back to my channel. But if you are new here, welcome. I'm Nicole, and today we got a good one. We are finally going to do the video on how to dress your shape. So let's get started. Before we jump into how to identify your body shape, I'm just going to say that there are 4 main shapes or body shapes, and I'm going to refer to them as shapes, but you may have seen them in the past referred to by fruit. For example, the rectangle you may have seen as a banana shape, or the round shape you may have seen as the apple shape. So let's move right along. I do want to note that, every body shape is not going to be perfectly defined by one of these 4 shapes here. You may be a combination. That's okay. We don't fit into one cookie cutter form. Okay, so in order to determine your shape, there are 2 ways to do so. The first one being taking measurements. So for those of you who are number crunchers, this is you. Kudos to you, but this is how you do it. And I would show you how to do this, but I am 7 weeks postpartum with our second baby boy. And so for those of you who had children, things move, shift around, expand. And so at this time, I am not interested in putting numbers to things, but I do encourage you to do so that you know how to best dress your shape. All right, so we're going to take 3 measurements. The first one being your bust, and you're going to measure around your bra strap all the way across to the front, across your nipples. And then the next one is your waist. And so for those of you who may have a larger torso to where you can't determine a defined waistline, what you can do is bend from side to side, and wherever you feel a crease at on your torso, once you stand up, you're going to put the measuring tape right there. We'll call that your waist. And it actually may be a little higher or lower than where you would wear your pants typically, but for the purpose of this, that's what we're going to call your waist. Now for your hips, we're going to measure the fullest part or the broadest part of your hips. You're also going to include your bottom. Okay, so you're going to take those measurements, and I linked a handy online calculator in the description box below where you can just take those numbers, plop them in, and it'll spit out your shape. But if you want to calculate them yourself, then let's do that together. So you're an hourglass shape if your waist is at least 25% smaller than your shoulder or bust, and your waist is at least 25% smaller than your hips, and your shoulders and hip measurements are within 5% of each other. So for those of you who don't want to do the numbers, you can just take a visual look and see if you have large breasts and you have wide hips. Your bust and hips share the same width. Even if you lose weight or gain weight, that ratio is pretty much the same. You have a pretty well-defined waist, and you gain most of your fat in your hips and your bust, then you're an hourglass shape. Okay, so for the triangle shape, you are a triangle if your hips are more than 5% bigger than your shoulders or bust. And what this can look like is you have a small to average size breast. Your waist curve is well defined despite a weight gain. Your hips and thighs are typically the widest part of your body and where you carry most of your weight. For the rectangle shape, you are a rectangle if your waist is less than 25% smaller than your shoulder or bust, and your shoulder, bust, and hip measurements are within 5% of each other. What this can look like is you have little to no waist definition, almost straight. Your breast and your butt are small to average, and you gain the most fat in your stomach, your torso area. And you also have pretty square shoulders. All right, we're moving on to the round shape. So if your shoulders or bust measurement is more than 5% bigger than your hip measurement, or your bust divided by hips is greater than 1.05, then you are a circle or the round shape. Your shoulders are typically rounded. You have full breasts. You're pretty top heavy and you carry most of your weight in your stomach area. You may have an average to small size bottom, and your legs and arms gain the least amount of weight. Please stay tuned for the next videos in this series because we're going to address each shape individually. Let's elevate our lives together. Later.